Hey guys, Ross here. Um, so as promised, for subs on my stream, I'll do this. Uh, I did a feral video, and now it's the Rdruid one. I found that game here versus Rdruid Beam Hunter, which is a really rough matchup for Assa Rook. So I thought it would be a good idea to go over this. Um, yep, I'm playing with one of my friends, good Rdruid, and yeah, you play normal talents, but you swap out System Shock for maneuverability, the Freedom Sprint. That's what I like to play at least. And then you play Doomblade and Battlemaster Trinket. That's what I've had the most success with, so that's what I go with. And then you play Merileth with the standard uh, conduits. So we're playing on around 2.5, 2.6 MR, I think this is. Um, but yeah, at the start here, we're just gonna look around a little bit and then bleed whatever we can. Hunter usually just sits himself until the camouflage ends, so just open on the druid here. The first thing you need to do is just get bleeds up on everything. Doing this bone spike thing on pets is really good for the late game. Causes you to get more combo points from your future bone spikes. I've done this for a very long time and it's always been really good. Bleeding the pet is really good, especially with the rest of the druid, because sometimes if you get thorns, the pets just keep hitting into thorns unless the hunter has half a brain, which a lot of BM hunters don't have. So a lot of the time the pets just die to thorns because the hunter forgets to take them off thorns, and then they drop very low, and you can actually kill them. Like now you can see the pet is getting a lot of damage from just from thorns, but the hunter does um, take them off me a little bit. But yeah, a lot of the time you just need to play for dampening in this game. That's why you see me sitting on the pillar here a little bit and then push out. The rest of it is in a position where I can just run out without using any of my mobility and still get bleeds up on him. Um, so you see me there, I used a little rupture on the hunter. I don't know if it's worth it. He's just gonna feint it off anyways, but if you get a little bit of damage at least it's fine. The main targets you want to bleed are the rest of the druid and the main pet, so that's all you care about really. This rest of the druid we're facing is not the best with mana management. You can see he's already at 70% mana after 1.5 minutes. That's not very good. Um, but yeah, mana is probably the best win condition you have in this game. So just trying to bleed as many people as you can is the best way. Kidneying Hunter is really good, I found, just because it stops their damage as well, so you are better with mana. But if Rest of Druid pushes in for clones and stuff like that, then you obviously kidney him, just to stop him from getting clone pressure. The pet drops really low here, so I try to hit it a little bit more. It's always good to just hit whatever you can, as long as it's either the Hunter, Rest of Druid, or main pet. Just because anything he has to hit is mana loss, right? And most, like your main win condition here is mana. So that's really what I'm trying to do most of the game. Kidneying Honda is pretty good, especially when he has no trinket. So we get the NS off the rest of the druid, and then he is in a position where I can hit him a bit. I have a lot of pressure this game. As you can see, the rest of the druid is already at 40% mana. He's really not doing a great job with his mana this game. Um, so yeah, as much as you can hit the rest of the druid, the better. Like, he's the best target easily. If he's in a position like this where you can just hit him, it's really strong. So just keep going on him. As long as you don't overextend and force your healer to go in a bad position, and then you die, of course. But since I'm safe most of the game, it's a small map, so it's pretty easy for my Rest to just jump in if he needs to heal me. So I can hit the Rest a lot this game. One thing you can do is evasion this aspect of the wild. You see in my nameplate here, he has a little leaf buff, as you can see here. That's the aspect of the wild. That's a 2-minute cooldown. It lines up with the evasion. Try to, if he doesn't pop Bestial Wrath with it, then you don't really need to evasion. But if he does, then it's good to just trade evasion on cooldown for that, since it lines up perfectly. Then it saves your healer more mana, because this is the time where the hunter will do the most damage. So just to be mana efficient, because that's your main win condition here, it's really good to just do that. Here I step over to my druid to take the trap, just to save ourselves a little cooldown. And now I'll just go back to the pillar. The rest of it is really low mana, as you can see on my gladius or whatever. Arena frames here, it's 25% mana. The hunter trinket is nothing for some reason, so that's pretty good for us. And then I just charge in again. We're safe. We have some cooldowns back. We have Iron Bark, and now Thorns is on me as well. So I'm just hitting the pet while the pet is hitting into Thorns because the hunter's not paying attention. Now he pays a little bit more attention and takes his pet off me. The rest of the druid is almost here, So now I'm just going to try to kill the pet as much as possible. I think killing pet late game is really good, especially when the rest of the has 0 mana, just because it is like really nice. It forces them to play really defensive. And yeah, like here for example, the pet was almost dead, so the hunter pre-turtles. I could have potentially done something weird and blinded the pet to take off all the bleeds, and then having the hunter waste his turtle, and then killed the pet. But yeah, obviously I did not think about that in the moment because it's just not really something that crosses anyone's mind ever. But looking back at it, you can obviously do stuff like that if you ever end up as in this specific situation again. But yeah, as soon as the pet comes back up, you see me bleed it and get my bone spike back up on it. Just because it's always nice to have the bone spikes on the pets as they never leave combat. So you'll never lose your bone spike on the pets. Unless of course you vanish and sit in stealth and they just don't use their pets for anything. My vanish gets flared here, but they let me get a re after the flare. I walk out of it. My druid's in a clone here, so I just set the full stealth. I sapped the rest of the druid here because he just didn't do anything. I noticed he sat in bear form the whole time while the clone was up, so I think, yeah, I can probably sap him here. And then we get a good amount of damage on the hunter slash pets, which is really nice. Getting the big garrotes up on the main pet is important. Kidney the hunter off cooldown. The rest of the druid is 0 mana left, and we have like almost full. You can see my druid is like 80% mana. The pet is really big trouble here. He dies again. And now you can just run down the hunter. They have no turtle to res it. All you have to do is stop the res. Feign Death and BM. Just gotta stop the res, and then you'll be chilling. We basically already won this game because my druid has 70-80% mana, and the rest of the druid is literally so there's not much that they can do here to win. But it's okay. I cloak the clone here just so we can't get rest on. Blind him on the clone. So now we're in a little bit of a weird position. My druid is like, yeah, he's probably gonna stop it, but then these guys obviously they have Incap Roar because they're Guardian affinity. So you'll see what happens now. I walk in to stop the rest, and then I get Incap Roared, and my druid is here, not in position to stop it at all. Just because no one is gonna expect this, so this is not a bad play by my druid or anything. It's just unfortunate. It doesn't actually matter because the rest of the druid is completely so my druid tries to stop it in the last second, but with a little maim, but it doesn't matter. It goes off, sadly. So he has a pet again. But the game is basically over. You can see the enemy rest of the druid has 500 mana to deal with, so we're going through that last little cooldown bit here with Aspect of the Wild, Preservation, because of Bestial Wrath plus Aspect of the Wild, so it's really good to just trade, just to be safe as well. There's no reason not to. We're so far into the game, there's no way we lose at this point, unless we fuck up badly. The rest of it gets a little bit of drink off here, but dampening is also really high, and my druid's gonna go for the CC. I don't know exactly why I cast the Fleshcraft here. Could have probably just killed the hunter instead, but I guess I played safe. Dampen him a bit more. It's fun to toy around with BM hunters whenever you get the chance, so. And then my druid gets a full clone, dispels my trap, and then we kill the hunter. So this matchup is weird. I'm not sure why the rest of druid is like so fast. I feel like if you face a really good rest of druid, then they won't go so easily. But yeah, and then like main things to watch out for in this matchup, for example, is always try to have bone spike on both pets. The second pet, like the talent pet or whatever you want to call it, is not relevant. Like you're not gonna try and kill that pet. You don't bleed it ever. It's just nice to have bone spike rolling on as many things as possible, just because it gives you more combo points, and then you can gain a lot of damage from that later in the game. And these kind of games do go into dampening, as you can see, it's a 6-minute game here. And then you just bleed the main pet, and then the rest of the druid if you can, and then you kidney the hunter a lot. Unless the rest of the druid is like playing a lot of like very aggro, then you can kidney him and do damage to him. But if they play like this game, for example, where they run away a little bit here and there, then you just kidney the hunter to stop the damage. A question I get a lot is how you tell which pet is the real one. A lot of pets have a little like a buff. It looks like green foot, I guess. That's a very common pet for hunters to use. But other than that, you can also just see the focus of the pet is like moving. It has 120 focus and it goes up and down. That's the main pet. The talent pet, the talent pet's focus does not move at all. So just look out for that if you want to know which pet is the real one. I think that's the easiest way to tell. And then obviously if you have big debuffs, then pet will show on the nameplate or whatever. So that's also another way to tell which pet is the real one. But yeah, that's basically it for this game. This is not a matchup that you should win ever in a million years, but you can win if you play against players that are not as experienced. If you face like the top BM Hunter Rdruid teams, you will not beat them. I've only managed to beat like Kasu and a healer, like Poike for example, a few times. It's very, very rough, for sure. But if you play well, I think at least if you play with a Rdruid, it can be done. You can also win with if you have a good priest, holy priest, Azarok can also win. But then you need your priest to press MC a lot, and it might be annoying for the priest to get MCs because of feign death and stuff like that, and counter shot. But just tell your priest that it's important that he tries to MC, even if there's MC bug in the game or whatever. Like having MCs on a target when the healer is a Resta Druid is just really good because it just stops everything. Like Resta Druid has to push in to stop the MC, and then you can do more damage to the Resta Druid. The best case scenario for you is if the Resta Druid plays aggro and he has to stop a lot of stuff from your priest. That's the best thing that can happen. The more you can hit the Resta Druid, the better. If the Resta Druid sits max range from you, it's really, really hard for you to do anything because then you're forced to sit on the pillar and hit the pet and kidney hunter. And then it turns into a big dampening game, and the Resta Druid will go for drinks whenever he feels like it, and it's really hard. So if you have playing with the priest, you need your priest to MC to force the Resta Druid to come in and stop the MCs and all that stuff. If you do play with the Resta Druid like me here, for example, you can go into dampening a bit more. As you can see, my Resta Druid's mana is fine, more than fine. We have like 60-70% left. Um, so we're not worried about that a whole lot. But yeah, this is like it's a really, really rough matchup, and I don't know. This is like the best tips I have for this matchup. If you don't win and you do everything like I've just done here, then it's just, yeah, it's a really rough matchup. But that's all really. Um, Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video helped a little bit at least with probably the hardest matchup in the game for Azaro currently, other than Survival Hunter, of course, but there are not a lot of Survival Hunters out there. So this is the most common matchup that you'll run into that is really, really just like a 90% chance you lose. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that helped. Bye bye.